What's up guys? Welcome back into the channel, and today we're going to be going over our Western chassis brake master cylinder brake booster combo. One of the first things we will have to do in order to install this will be remove the master cylinder itself and give it a fresh coat of Rust-Oleum black, because it does come in raw metal and this will get that rusty look to it. So we don't want that. We'll go black to match the rest of the chassis and everything out on the truck. One thing I want to show you guys that it comes with is this rod extension piece here. So this will go in through the firewall and hook up to your brake pedal. Now it comes with the rod already on here and then this extension, so depending on the length of what you need, obviously you can add that extension. Now it also comes with the mounting bracket for the brake line block, which I'll show you here. Now we ordered this kit through Performance Online, which is POL. Here's their box here, and this is the rest of the kit that it comes with. Let's see. Basically, we're going to mount this block that's in this package to our bracket here, and then install the two little lines that it comes with. So let me open this up and I'll show you guys. Comes in a real nice packaging with like a foam casing around it, and it's going to come with your sensor that you need. It's going to come with, obviously, this nice brass block that allows you to hook up your brake lines in different configurations depending on how you're running it, whether you're running a line directly to each corner or you're going to do a splitter. So you're going to run your rear brake lines off of one port and then it'll split somewhere on the chassis. So then this will mount and incorporate into our system here. And then it also comes with the two little hoses that are almost impossible to bend if you've ever tried to bend these. The little drop down connector type. See, nice little 90 there, all ferruled with fittings, ready to go. And then this one here as well. And then lastly, inside the case, there's a couple of additional fittings that I'm assuming will thread into the block here depending on what we go with. So not a big deal. It looks like all we're going to need to do is get a 9/16 box wrench, and I'll bring this over and show you guys a little closer. We'll take a 9/16 box wrench and remove these bolts here, one on either side, and that should allow us to remove the master cylinder from the booster itself. So let me see here. Set this back down, get it where I can work on it. I've got my box wrench here. There's plenty of room to get on it. So let's see. Okay, that bolt's nice and loose. Comes right off. The nut, I should say. Jump to this side. Put a little pressure on your on the master cylinder so it's not prying down on that. And it looks like I should be able to just wiggle this out and take it right off. There we go, guys. See that? Now this cap, I don't want to get any paint down in there, so I may just try and mask off these bars and paint around them. I'm just going to use a small paintbrush and some Rust-Oleum black. I'll take acetone and wipe this down first in case it has any packaging oil or anything on it. And then we'll go ahead and coat it and let it dry overnight. And then tomorrow we can actually, while this is still drying, we can still install our brake booster onto the firewall. And that'll allow us to get everything hooked up, and then we can just come and land this on there as soon as it's dried up enough. It's really a nice system. Performance Online had this. This is through Western Chassis, and this is for rear disc brake conversion on our K5 Blazer. So obviously we converted the rear end when we did the gears and everything to disc brake, and we've already installed the rear brake lines up to a stopping point on the chassis where we'll be picking it up once we have our master cylinder installed. We'll probably finish building our brake line system from here down towards the chassis and connect everything in, as opposed to running it from the chassis to the brake master cylinder. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out on a hook where we can hang it. I'll get the paint and stuff out. We'll put a couple of coats on here, and that'll wrap up the start of this video. And then once you see me again, we'll get out to the truck and we're actually going to go ahead and install this and go over the process of that. There's a little plastic sleeve, a boot that goes on the end of this shaft here that compresses into the firewall, and the one they sent us was too short, so I want to go over that whole segment with you guys when we get out to the truck here. So let me get a few things set up and we'll get going on it. Thanks, guys. Hey guys, I wanted to jump back in here really quick and just show you. So this top came off, obviously, once we opened our latches. And then what's nice is these latches actually were, you just pull it out, take out one side, and then the other side slips right out. And so now we don't even have to worry about any of our nice shiny hardware getting any paint on it. These two block off bolts won't really matter because they'll be going away. So what I'll do is I'll just put like a bungee cord hook through each one of the ear loops, and we'll hang this. And then when we get out there, we can just brush it with some brush paint. It'll be easy enough to not get any on the inside and keep that clean, and it should look good. So I just thought I'd show you guys that real quick. Show you, so in the next segment when I'm painting it, you're not like, well, how did he get that stuff off? It came off really simple. You just pull it to the side and it'll come out for you. So just show you that real quick. Okay guys, I'm out here at the brake booster. You can see I got it hanging on a hook. All I'm going to do is I got this rag here, and I'm going to grab a little bit of your basic acetone, put a little bit on this rag. There we go. And then I'm just going to go around and basically rub this thing down. And you'll see it'll take off a little bit of the shine. I think they just put like a little bit of assembly, something on there, oil or whatever, so it won't rust in the packaging, you know. Because I've had this thing for several months, and it just in a couple of spots started to get a little bit of that like rust dust looking stuff. Not really anything coming off on the rag, so it's probably pretty clean. Rub this thing out while it's here. All right, that looks pretty good. If you run down to your little hardware store or Home Depot even, you can get these little brushes for like 50 cents a brush. So I picked up a bunch of these. And then I just like to use Rust-Oleum Black, and I don't prime it or nothing. I just dab a little bit on my brush and start going. Let me get a couple strokes on here and I'll show you guys what it kind of looks like. I like to use the brush because it doesn't run. The paint doesn't run. You know, you can brush it around and it really gets a nice thick coat on there. Again, try not to get any on this mating surface up at the top. Worst case scenario, I'll just go back around and I'll remove whatever gets on there. Spray paint's cool, but I have to deal with a lot of overspray. So I didn't want a bunch of overspray going everywhere. And I just feel like the modern spray paints are just so watery. Even if you shake them for like a really long time, they just, I don't know, they don't seem to perform that well. I know there's probably better spray cans out there, but this Rust-Oleum Black brush on, dude, is the hot ticket. You just take your time and you don't have to really mask anything off or nothing, and it really leaves a nice coating. All said and done, I don't even think you'll see any brush strokes. See the way that's starting to look nice and shiny on there? Might be a little hard to see on the camera, but I think you get the idea. That's looking real good, guys. I'm just going to keep going around this thing till it's all nice and painted up. Keep going on it here. I bought this can of paint to paint the brake calipers. And look at, I don't know if you can see on camera, it's almost still full. So you figure you burn through cans of spray paint, you know, as you do this like nothing. Well, get yourself a little bit of this. You know, they also have the one that's, what's that stuff? There's a specific one I know for the chassis paint. I'm drawing a blank right now, but a lot of guys use that, and it's a brush-on style black. Back to black chassis paint or something like that. But it works really, really good. But again, it's pricey, and you got to order it, and you got to wait for it to come in. Let me show you guys how this is looking. I want to just ramble on, show you guys. See how nice and glossy that looks? You don't see any brush strokes on there. I think you get the idea. Let me finish painting this thing up, guys. It's looking pretty cool. Looks good black. It's one of those steps too where like if you forget and then like a month from now down the road you pop the hood and it's all just rusted orange, and now you got to like take and clean all the rust off and then paint it. It's a nightmare. I had to do that with one of the brake calipers. So that's kind of what told me, hey, you know what? You might want to paint the master cylinder, bud, before you install it. So there you go, guys. Okay, guys, there you go. Master cylinder is painted. Turned out really nice. We just took some acetone and wiped off any little bit of paint that might have got on these mounting surfaces here. Top's pretty clean. So I got a little bit more right there I gotta wipe off. Not a big deal, we'll get it. So let this bad boy dry up and we'll be good to go to install it, guys. Thanks. Let's get over to the truck now and start talking about the brake booster and mounting it in that hole right here on the firewall. Hey, what's up, guys? We're back out at the truck and I've got the brake booster here in my hand, and what I wanted to go over before we install it is this little dust sleeve. And this particular piece here, it will actually land at the firewall on this end. Well, the one that it came with was actually too short. It actually didn't even make it past our flange here, the mounting surface. So it actually needs to be just past that so that it can hit the firewall and create a pretty decent dust seal. So after going back and forth with the manufacturer, they went ahead and sent us an additional one that was also too short. So then I had to find the factory one. Luckily, we still had it off of the old brake booster and compare it, and they went ahead and finally sent us the right one. It's supposed to be a cut to fit, and luckily for us, it's just barely the perfect length fit for our unit here. I'll put it on there and I'll show you real quick. You can see it just makes it past the end of the mounting surface, so hopefully that'll be a snug enough fit so no air and dust can get through. If we do have to go in and put a rubber ring or something at the firewall, we will, which will help to seal it down. So let me go ahead and stick it on here. Now there's a hole in the firewall, and then you have your studs, and there's these 6 holes in the bracket. You can see it stepped, so this is the top. It can only go on one way. So we'll bring it over to the firewall, and you'll just work it up in there. Your flange might be flared open a little bit, so you can literally just pinch it and it should slide onto the threads. There we go. We got some new lock nuts here. Bushing type, so we'll get the top one started. That'll help us hold it on there, and then we'll need to go inside the truck so that we can figure out the brake pedal attachment. You know, that rod will go through the firewall and it'll hit the brake pedal itself, and we'll need to adjust it for the proper length. And man, we found a bunch of wiring underneath the dashboard here that I'm going to want to show you guys that's really, really out of control. I mean, it's just 30 years of people tampering with the wiring, adding accessories, maybe trying to figure out a short. I'm not sure. They have a bunch of wire just spliced together and taped together. So we'll have to show you guys that. That's going to be a lot of hours correcting all that stuff. And then we have to adapt our new system to the existing system. And we'll get more into the wiring and the electrical. But when we go under there to look at the brake pedal, keep an eye out for the wiring situation in there, because it's like a bat cave. So here we go, guys. I'll show you this real quick. There it is, mocked up. You can see the sleeve in here, hopefully. It's that white plastic sleeve up in the tunnel, and that hits a circle similar to this one where the windshield washer or windshield wiper motor goes, and then you see the other studs where the rest of the nuts will land. And then our new brake booster will go right here on the mounting studs here, the one we just painted up. We'll land that there, but for now we'll get this mocked up, and then this real quick is our air line that we hooked up from the intake that'll hit this port here, so it's plenty long. Let me get you guys set up in the underneath the dash with me so we can take a look at the rod. Let me grab it. I'll show you real quick. We got to see if this is going to fit our particular brake pedal or not. You know, I know it does have a stud for this, but I don't know if this is too small. So whether we need to hone this out or possibly hit a different hole on the brake pedal arm itself. So we'll go up under there, check it out, then we'll see about adjusting this to the proper length and and just kind of at least get it in there where it's pretty much ready to go for when we add fluid and stuff. Now, I'm not going to bench bleed the master cylinder. I'm actually going to install it and just do it on the truck, and I'll show you how to do that when we get to that point. So we're not going to be doing that particular part in this series. So let me go underneath the dash. I'll take you guys under there with me, and we'll just kind of start mocking up that rod and take a look at what's going on under there. I'll throw the other nuts on here real quick. I've got them all right here. I'll get them on there hand tight, maybe draw them up just a little bit so I kind of know where my spacing's going to be. But I never do like a final torque down on nothing until I've pretty much figured out everything in the way it needs to be, just so that you're not working so hard to break everything back loose. And it just makes for a better fit up all in all. So let me throw these nuts on here, and we'll see you guys underneath the dash. Okay guys, we're up underneath the dash here, and I just want to go real quick and show you the electrical mess that we're dealing with. This will obviously be coming up in a series when we get into some of the electrical and what we have to do underneath the dash here. But man, just take a second to look at the mess of old coiled wires, wires that we have no idea where they go to, wires that have been spliced and have twist nuts like it's indoor electrical on a house. I don't know what was going on. So what we'll probably end up doing, guys, is pulling out the radio and everything out of this. Pulling out the speaker wires, any accessories we can find, eliminating them, and then hopefully make some, you know, rhyme or reason to this mess that's underneath here. But up there in the back, you can see our rod sticking through the firewall there, and then up on this brake pedal arm, you can see that little nipple that sticks out, and that's basically where they expect this brake pedal arm to land. Now, obviously, I'm not sure. Let's see. Is it even the correct size? Yeah, it does feel like it's going to fit on there, guys. So that's a good thing. We'll be able to work that on there and then basically get the rods connected. Sorry, it's really hard to film under here, but we'll be able to connect this rod to the one sticking through the firewall and get everything adjusted to where the pedal is all the way up. You know, at a nice... we'll have to adjust it to right where it's perfect for the brake switch and stuff that's up here at the top of the pedal. You can see that there. So let me get the camera a little bit more set up and see if we can at least get that rod attached for now. And then we'll start looking into some of this wiring in a later video, guys. And I mean, like, look at this. I don't even know where you would start. There's the fuse panel, and I'm sure we're going to have to connect to that a bit, and we're going to have to trace out everything that comes off of that and figure out where everything goes. So you're probably looking at around, I don't know, at least a week's worth of electrical going through all this stuff and figuring out what's what. I'm going to have to pull a diagram and trace it all out, and we'll go from there. But back to the brake booster. We'll hook up this rod, and the brake booster will be installed for now. Thanks, guys. Okay guys, we're under the dash. I just want to show you that we got the rod installed there. I got to put a cotter pin in it and still do the final adjustments to get it right where I want it. I need to address this tail light switch here for some reason is not engaging properly. It's like it slid over off of the brake pedal, so we'll address that. Let's go back out now and start hooking up the brake lines, the brake line block, and put the master cylinder back on. Let's get out there. Hey guys, so basically under the dash, what you ended up with was the rod coming in off of the back of the booster through the firewall, and then the rod from the pedal assembly back. Now the rod coming from the pedal assembly back was too long, so what we did is we measured and we just cut that all thread down to fit right where it matched up with the existing one. And we did that with it bottomed out all the way inside of the black piece that actually attached to the brake pedal arm, so that if there's that little bit of play at the end, once we put them together, we can actually take and unthread that a little bit, and it'll bring it out perfectly tight, and you'll have no play in the brake pedal. Again, you saw the electrical under there. It's not a pretty sight, guys. We're going to be under there for probably close to 100 hours worth of work. Now, that sounds a little outrageous, but your rig will burn down, and all of this hard work we put into this truck will be completely pointless if we don't address the wiring and electrical issues underneath the dash. Now that we're back out front, let's take a look at the master cylinder. Now, I just set it up here so you guys could see what it looks like up against this nice gold booster itself. I have the master cylinder parts here in front of me, and I'm going to get them out so I can show you actually how they're going to attach on here, and we'll be able to do our drop down lines from there. Now, this first piece, you'll see, according to the instructions, this is how they want it set up. So this will actually take one of the mounting bolts here for the master cylinder itself. We'll actually capture this bracket and allow this piece, our block here, to set up perfectly and allow our drop down lines to come from the master cylinder to the block and be able to build our brake system from this point out. Let me grab a couple other little parts. We'll get set up here and we'll go ahead and get that installed today. Now, this block just simply bolts to this bracket. It's threaded on the back side, and it comes with the washers and the lock ring that you'll need here, so you could just thread this down tight. We're going to go ahead and get it in there pretty much hand tight just to get it started here. Now, let me grab the nut. I've got it here local. Won't have to travel far to get it. It's right here, guys. So all you're basically going to do is you'll figure this out whether you have the instructions or not, because you're going to want this larger port to be facing the firewall and your sensor to be facing up according to the instructions I have. So let's throw our nut back on and see if we can get this bracket to stay up here so we can get it looking nice and straight and lined up, and go ahead and start working on our drop down lines. Now, that's basically how it's going to set. It's still a little loose on there. I'll throw a tighten on it. We may leave it a little bit loose just for now so we can pull these plugs out. Okay, there's a plug on each side. And let me grab a couple of the small lines and the instructions just here for reference. Now, according to them, the block or the master cylinder itself is going to have this rear port is going to be for the front, and this will be for your rear. Now, again, this is set up for disc brake conversion. So let's grab our first block here, and we're just going to do a real rough mock-up. We just want to see if we're even getting close to where we need to be. So I'll just take and thread this in there hand tight, and I can see right there that it lines up really, really pretty close. Let me bring you guys over here and show you what I'm talking about. Now, we want this line here to come over, drop down, and hit this port. So what I may do is, since I haven't fully tightened this up yet where it mounts back there, I may just bring that loose. And sorry guys, it cut out there a little bit, but anyway, if I leave the bracketry loose while I'm still trying to fit these up, I won't have to worry about anything getting into a bind or over tightening. So what I'm going to do is now, with everything still loose, I'm going to just get this one started by hand if I can, since it went in there now. Just had to finagle it a little bit, and we'll take our other piece, our pre-bent line, and we're just going to try and get it started in place a little bit. Now again, if they're going to go in a little tight, you're going to have to work them. If you got to loosen up your bracketry and stuff a little bit more to get it to go, then that's just what you'll have to do. Let's see if we get this in there. Now, luckily, we were able to get those to start by hand. I've got some brake line wrenches here that I went ahead and picked up for this project. You can see they got a little slit there. You can use a standard box wrench. It'll work fine. But I picked these up knowing that I had a lot of brake line work to do on this particular vehicle and other vehicles coming up in the future. So they have different sizes on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring that down onto the fitting, and I'm going to jump back and forth from this front fitting. I'll get it going a little bit, and then I'll come up here and I'll tighten this one a little bit. So now they just get started, and then we'll jump around and we'll do each one little by little, so that not any one line or fitting is taking all of the load, and then the other ones are kind of like having to tighten it into place. It's not really what you want to do with these. So take your time, go around and tighten each one of your little fittings up so that they start to snug up equally. Okay, all this stuff is brass, you know, and you don't really want to get too crazy. You don't want to take a chance of messing anything up. See what size we have here. Okay, now I'm going to just tighten these into the master cylinder. Jump over to this one. That threaded in there really nice, guys. That's what you want. You shouldn't have to fight them at all. They're a pipe thread, so they don't require sealer or any type of Teflon tape, anything like that. Just tighten them up. And then once your system's pressurized with brake fluid, you'll be able to check for leaks, and that's kind of where you'll know if you need to adjust it and make it any tighter. So now that we've got these pretty well tightened here, just go around and check them all. Again, I'm not going to over tighten anything. That feels good. That's good. That's tight. So now we know all of our fittings are tight on our little block here. We can go ahead and now tighten up our bracket. So this is a 1/2 inch for our block into the bracket. Let's tighten that up first. And it comes with a nice lock ring. So you just got to bring it up tight. But the instructions, however, do have your torque spec down here. If you did need to go exactly by the torque for your particular application, I can throw my torque wrench on after I film and just go around and make sure they're all good, because I've showed you guys the torque wrench process. I'll go underneath here now, and with the 9/16 I'm just going to tighten this bracket all the way up. Get it as tight as I can here. Just have to take your time. It's in a tight spot, you know. We want that really, really tight. So now we've fully tightened down our block. Let me show you guys what it looks like, guys. There it is, completed. Now the rest of the video segment that will be coming out will obviously be the rest of the lines going from this portion down into the chassis itself, running to the rear and both front calipers. So that's going to wrap up this video, guys. I appreciate it. We're going to head inside the shop and start breaking out the Holley Terminator X system so that we can get the electrical and everything going on the motor, because we're ready to fire this thing up. So we're going to jump back on the fuel. I want to show you guys the fuel regulator that we're going to use for that, frame mounted, and continue hooking up the fuel lines on that. And then after we have the engine up and running, we'll jump back over here to our brake booster system and go that route. Real quick, you can see the nipple here where this is going to connect eventually, and you can see we have plenty of hose. So leaving our hose longer in that other video is going to pay off for us, guys, so we can route that real nice and real clean. So let's wrap this video up. Hit like, comment, subscribe, guys, and we'll see you out here in the shop when we get the Holley Terminator X system out for our LS motor here. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.